What's up, everyone? Thank you for coming and checking back in with us over here at Loners. We appreciate it. And we just want to say, if you haven't yet, jump over to our vlog channel and like and subscribe over there as well, please. Thank you.
So yeah, like Brian said, thanks for watching. We wanted to react, I guess, or watch a video with you guys that Vice did a couple years ago. It's basically a journalist. She's taken into the tunnels in Gaza that, Hamas works under. I guess, what's our point here?
Well, I think our point is just to see the views from both sides and to see a neutral perspective from a journalist going in and exploring the situation that's happening.
Well, I guess we will learn whatever we need to learn here. I'd be lying if I said that I don't feel the same way, if not even more upset. A kid today in Chicago just got stabbed 26 times for literally being Palestinian because of the way our news reports everything out here and how biased it is out here and how much they choose to paint one side and not the other side. I mean, we can only speak from our experience out here, and it's not, there is almost no empathy for anyone in Gaza. I think it's been about a week now, and I think I've seen like a tiny percent of people kind of stretching.
Well, you see,
on the empathy
from
scale.
what I've noticed, it's more like you see people's accounts on like social media talking about Palestinian people as well as Israeli, but in the media, it's you really only see coverage on Israeli people. That
just basically every headline you see, and we don't really watch the news, but like you almost can't avoid headlines and articles and yada yada on social media. You're in passing, you're going into a store, restaurant, whatever the hell, and it's just blatantly saying like, look at what Hamas is doing, terrorist attack. This we're attacking Hamas. They aren't painting it of what's really happening, which is a fucking genocide. Like, it's no secret to any government official how entrapped the people in Gaza are. That's just like, everyone knows that. I'm not saying everyone, us. I'm talking about like government officials. They know the situation there. They know what's going on over there, and there's just zero justification. And for you to label it as like you fighting terrorists is such a cop-out, I will say.
I think it goes deeper than that, because they don't do a good job of differentiating that the people of Palestine are not Hamas. They're not one and the same. They're different things, and you can't group them into the same category. The innocent civilians and them.
But I will say there are people who are bred to believe that they are one and the same. They are synonymous when that isn't true.
I understand. I'm saying the media doesn't do a good job of making that a point and differentiating that.
Because they don't want to. They don't want you to see what they're actually doing. What we're helping fund as well, which is a whole nother discussion.
Yeah.
Like, these people literally have nowhere to go. This isn't like they can just swim into the ocean and hope to fucking find a destination, or they can just hop over the border to Egypt. Like, even when people were trying to do that, they were sending airstrikes to the border. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fucking, what's his name, Netanyahu, the stupid ass prime minister of Israel, telling the UN to let Gaza know that they have 24 hours to make their way
from like north to south
in a completely other direction, as if there's just like a fucking golden brick road to get there. And as they were making their way there, I'm sure you guys have heard this. I would hope you have heard this. If you haven't, you don't care enough. And this is like, this isn't just us living through history. We live through history every single day. This is like, we are all on the wrong side of history right now. The way we are handling this, the way we have lack of any type of concern. Because again, the media, like, I didn't think it would be almost 2024 and people still trusted the bullshit they see on the news. Like, we have so much access to other forms of information. There's books, there's the internet. Like, it literally doesn't cost you much to, one, give a fuck, two, do your own research. And
yeah. I mean, I just think
it's disgusting.
What happens a lot is it's the easy way out to just group them all and say they're all dangerous and, well, you don't know if they're terrorists and everything like that, instead of looking into it more and actually seeing what's going on. I'm not saying that what Hamas is doing is good or right at all, because it's not, but you just have to see also, I think, take some perspective from the innocent civilians and from the families of children who are dying, being bombed over there in Gaza.
I don't think people also want to admit that Hamas is their actions are what I would consider a retaliation.
Yeah.
Okay? Period. Like, you can't sit here and act like you're shocked by certain atrocities that they have done. Like, you just can't act surprised. And if you are shocked, then you're looking at this through one lens. It doesn't justify it. Like, a life is a life, period. Like, anyone dying is unacceptable. It sucks.
And
it's
it
bullshit.
does suck for innocent people,
but unfortunately,
on both sides dying. But I feel like that's something that the Prime Minister Netanyahu and the IDF, they're willing to sacrifice innocent people's lives to get the ultimate goal, which is, I think, to eliminate Palestinians from that land.
Or just Arabs in general.
Yeah.
Like, they're treated like second. I honestly don't even think second class. I would consider it lower than that, especially in Gaza.
Yeah.
We'll look for some form of resources below. I know Abby Martin does a good job of bringing light to a lot of I don't even like calling it conflict, because conflict makes it feel like it's an equal fight when it's just not. And you can't live somewhere like Gaza and expect that your way out of that oppression and occupation is peaceful. Yeah. Like, the universal language of the entire world is violence, and unfortunately most things do not, like, most situations aren't liberated without violence.
Yeah.
It sucks, but that's the world we have conditioned ourselves to deem acceptable. And it's honestly insulting how we measure human lives and how we decide which ones are more important than, like, other ones. And it's disgusting. It's fucking disgusting, and I hate it. And I fucking hate the Prime Minister of Israel. Like, genuinely, he is, like, deserves to be in under a jail. Like, truly. He doesn't care about anyone. He does not care about even his own civilians as much as he sits there and preaches whatever the fuck he preaches. Sorry for the cursing. I am so tired of seeing so much ignorant hate in this country alone towards this issue, and nobody that genuinely, no one that genuinely, like, I guess, cares about a terrorist attack happening in Israel is willing to do the digging and the fact checking and just the groundwork, I guess, to figure out where this all stemmed from. And they're just, they see a headline and they're like, that's it. But honestly, it's our responsibility to wake the fuck up and to just, I hate when people are like, educate yourself. Okay, because realistically, not everyone has the answers. There's nothing that anyone will ever agree on, period. There's so much nuance. There's so many like gray areas with everything. And I know that that's not something new, but this is like genuinely horrific. And every huge moment in history that you read about in textbooks or like people reflect on later in life, we all look around and think to each other like, damn, like how the hell was that allowed? Like how the fuck did people just allow that and sit back? And like we are living through that right now, and people are just watching from the sidelines pretending that this is okay when it's not. Anyway, I'm not really good expressing myself on camera to the fullest degree. Brian has seen me have many like breakdowns about this where I can be a little more like like in my feelings, but like something about being recorded, it just feels like you're being monitored, and I hate it. But anyway, in no way are we condoning any of this violence on any end, but the same way you want the world to condemn Hamas, you should want them to condemn the Israeli government. I need to preface that because people like to associate civilians of a country with their government, and that is not at all what I'm saying.
Anyway. I mean, that's the issue with what's happening with both sides. People like to group the government with the people on both sides, and it's not the case. But it just seems like in the Western world, there's more coverage when one side gets the innocent people on one side get hurt, and there's like no coverage on the innocent people on one other side.
It's extremely bizarre to live here and witness how much we are divided on every fucking goddamn thing possible to like what people wear, okay, is a hate crime here, okay? So the fact that somehow this is something that most people are agreeing, that alone should be a red flag in this, like, I'm talking about living here and seeing how people are responding to this. Because at the end of the day, we are conditioned from everything we see on TV, movies, TV shows, comedy, everything is conditioning us to look at a certain group of people as like terrorists, period. It doesn't matter if you've never fucking heard a fly.
I mean, even like, even after 9/11 happened here, she would tell me that like even her family would start to kind of feel like,
I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm a victim to shit because I'm not.
No, not you, but I'm saying like, well.
But yes, my family had to have a discussion with us and say, don't tell anybody your background because you don't know who you're talking to.
It's funny because by looking at Linda, you see that she got her dad's side a lot of her, but like.
Honestly, that's worse in my favor.
As Middle Eastern as she is. I'm serious. It's true because she has other parts of her mom's family that they look like really like.
Yes.
What you would picture a Middle Eastern would look like.
Yes, they are. My whole mom's family. We've said this.
So,
yeah. But anyway, this is not about me because I am very fucking privileged to not
have to deal with that.
Thankfully, my grandparents were able to leave, and safely. All right. Here's our reaction video. We like anything you have of true hate in the comments. Kindly go fuck yourself, and you don't have to watch this, and you don't have to comment on it. I don't support that engagement at all. I'd rather not have that.
We're just trying to, no matter what your opinion or views are, we're just trying to have a conversation about it.
Okay. Yes. But if you're leaving something constructive, that's different. Yeah. If you're going to say, you're ignorant, you don't know anything, you need to educate yourself, you don't, they asked for this, go fuck, like, literally just click out of the video now, okay? You genuinely don't know fucking shit. So, sorry, I'm not trying to, like,
all right,
get people heated, but,
okay.
Anyway, here's, a little video.
تعال من هنا. عددت؟
شكرا.
ها بس.
Under here.
شايف العمود هذا؟ في عمود منه تحت هنا كانت البنت.
And this was your daughter's apartment right here?
هذه غرفتها اللي عدت فيها، أنا استشهدت. من هنا طلعناها.
In May, a major escalation between Israel and Hamas erupted.
During 11 days of fighting, 13 Israelis and 260 Palestinians were killed. Hassan al-Atta was on call throughout the conflict. He's a rescue worker with the Palestinian Civil Defense, who are funded by the Hamas government. His job is to find and pull out those who are trapped under crumpled buildings.
I couldn't imagine.
عشان لقيناها هنا بالضبط، هي والولاد بالضبط في النتف هذا، هي وولادها الثلاثة الأربعة كانوا هنا عابطين بعض، كله عابط بعض هيك. وجاي العمود العمود الحزام اللي زي هذا جاي على راسها من هان وعلى وجهها هي وولادها. لا جابوهم على المستشفى وانا رحت على الثلاجة اشوفهم بس اتعرض.
Is this your daughter's scarf?
هذا كانت قاعدة، هذا شرشف التخت الصغير تبعهم اللي بقعد عليه الصغار.
This is blood?
هذا دم منها هي. عندي صورة للبنت هيها، معي صورة إلها هي ولادها.
Beautiful, Jamila. And this is Ismek?
هذا سلام أول واحد.
And how old is he?
عمره 9 سنين. هذا أميرة عمرها 6 سنين. هذا محمد عمره 8 شهور.
During the war, your job is to pull people out from under the rubble, but I imagine that it must have been a very difficult experience to pull your own children and grandchildren out of under this building.
أنا كان أملي في الله إني ألاقيهم طيبين وأنا بدور. كنت عامل كل جهدي إني ألاقيهم طيبين. ويوم لقيتهم مستشهدين قلت خلاص أنت اللي أعطيتني إياهم وأنت اللي أخذتهم. هو الأمر صعب ومش سهل. أنا من يوم ما صارت القصة لليوم أنا ببكيش على الكاميرا ولا قدام الناس. لكن يوم بكون لحالي ببطلش بكى.
It seems like a lot of the other buildings around here are still intact. Why is it that the Israeli Defense Forces was targeting this building specifically? Were there any Palestinian militants, any Hamas members, any Islamic Jihad members in this building?
لا أنا البيت ما فيش كلهم مدنيين ما لهمش في التنظيمات من مرة.
Civilians in this region find themselves trapped between two bitter forces, Israel and the Palestinian militant group Hamas. In this most recent escalation, Hamas began firing thousands of rockets into Israeli territory, following Israel's efforts to forcibly evict Palestinian families from Sheikh Jarrah, a neighborhood in East Jerusalem. The Israel Defense Forces responded with an aerial bombardment that obliterated residential buildings, shops, and factories.
That's what I don't get why they were forcibly trying to evict Palestinian families from an area where they were already living like that. You have to expect that's going to cause a problem.
I don't want to use the word entitlement, but I have heard that a lot of the ideology, especially like Zionism, is this almost like sense of like this is
Ours?
Yes. I'm not speaking for anyone in Israel. I'm just saying that's kind of, as an outsider, the perception it seems. This is, like, you guys are, like, evil.
Yeah.
Get the fuck off.
So, from what I've seen kind of was, before, obviously, World War II and the Holocaust and anything happening, like, way before that, there's been a mixture of Jewish, Muslim, Christian living in this whole area. And obviously I think that they didn't see eye to eye before. Obviously I think that, you know,
the conflict was never this deep though.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. But also I think that there wasn't I don't think there was there wasn't more Jewish people than Palestinian people like how there are now. Like,
No.
and it wasn't with like a force of the UN and the Western countries to like be like
What do you mean
backing
a
them.
force?
Like, it was just Israeli people living in the area alongside Palestinian, Middle Eastern
It
people.
was Jewish people.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jewish.
they were all living there. But I'm saying
It-
then after World War II, you got the hand of the UN and Western countries
Well,
to be like,
from my
to
understanding,
give them power, and more of them, and a bunch more of them migrated over there for say like, you know.
from my understanding, it was occupied by the British, the Palestinian land, okay? And when Jewish people wanted to leave Europe and other places,
They
they
helped them.
felt like this is our holy land, like this is where you would, like Jerusalem is so important to Jewish people, Muslims, some Christians, like that's like their holy land,
Yeah,
you know?
Because
So,
the Bible,
yeah, it all comes down to like
religion. Yeah.
unfortunately. It's, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of like political, I think, push behind it that is being masked as religious,
I just didn't even know
but
before
I
this.
think a lot of it is really just
I'm gonna be honest.
they're
like,
using
I,
religion and they're like weaponizing
Yeah.
it
I'm
to
not.
push a different.
I'm not gonna say that I've
agenda.
always known about this. I recently started researching more about it and just wanted to like inform myself from both sides and see both perspectives and see and kind of gather my own opinion on it. Recently, like over the past weeks.
Most Palestinians living in Gaza are unable to leave because of the strict blockade on goods and people. Vice News spent months securing access to both sides in an attempt to understand the military players involved in a conflict that has angered and rallied people around the world. In the middle of the night, Hamas's military wing, the Al-Qassam Brigades, took us to an undisclosed location.
Sorry, I feel like this will. I hope this covers it. If not, when Jewish settlers did come here, though, there's this whole event that took place called the Nakba. You should look it up. I'll leave a link, or Brian can leave a link below. Just an informative piece of history, okay, where over 700,000 Palestinians were displaced and pretty much pushed off, like evicted, pushed off their home. And I'm sorry, like, that's a crucial thing to like note here.
It reminds me a lot of from the United States when Native Americans were displaced from a lot of their tribes and homes before, when the British explorers and settlers came over.
Yeah.
And asked us to disguise the voices of certain Hamas members.
These guys are extremely concerned about security and us not knowing where we're going, so they're going to be blindfolding me and taking us to the next spot.
Damn, she's brave.
Assalamu alaikum.
Those are Hamas members.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're taking her to the tunnels. She's very brave, and so is her team.
We are about to reach 2 meters. Okay, you can stand here, don't move.
Wow.
Just wait. Okay, this is the tunnel entrance.
So we're having to take all of this off. Absolutely nothing is allowed down. We're having to give over our cameras, give over everything before we go down there. And we'll take their equipment from now on to make sure that there's absolutely zero tracking devices or anything of anyone knowing the location of where we're going to.
These tunnels are built to be out of sight from Israel's drones and have been used in the past to launch attacks on their enemy. On the night that Hassan's family were killed, 160 Israeli warplanes dropped 450 missiles and shells in just 40 minutes. The IDF says this was with the explicit intention of destroying Hamas's underground tunnel network.
Watch out, you are about to arrive.
Damn.
We were given exclusive access inside these still active tunnels. These Hamas militants are internationally designated as terrorists.
So we're currently deep underground somewhere in the Gaza Strip. got permission after days and days of back and forth talking about security issues. But they have finally let us down here because they're keen to show that despite the fact that Israel says that they've destroyed over 60 miles of these tunnels, that they're still going strong. They are rebuilding their tunnels. They're still got an extensive network that they can use to move people around and to store weaponry. What makes you so certain that joining Hamas, joining the Al-Qassam Brigade, and ultimately turning to violence is the answer here?
There's no other solutions but this weapon.
Abu Khalid is 25 years old. He's one of thousands who joined Hamas as a teenager and has been active in the group ever since.
The fact that you're down here in tunnels that have been built under civilian areas, you're launching rockets from civilian areas as well, doesn't that mean that you're endangering Palestinians that you claim to be fighting for?
We are sacrificing ourselves and our times and everything we do in order to ensure a better future for our children.
But are you also not sacrificing the civilians that are directly above you?
Of course, we don't want them to get killed or to get targeted, but this is the only choice we have. This is what we can do, and they are supporting us. You can go to the sea, you can go to the air, you can go to anywhere. So that's why we are building tunnels. This is the only mean which is possible for Al-Qassam brigades.
And I know it is very privileged to say, like, no, there's always another way, but we haven't lived in this situation. We haven't lived in occupied land where we can't even these people can't take a shit without the Israeli government knowing about it. Like, everything is monitored on this strip of land.
I do wonder realistically. So, I don't think everyone who is a civilian in Palestine voted these people into power.
Well, the West Bank for sure, no. And no, not everyone did, but they did win this election. Like, they won because the militants that were originally representing, like, Palestine, I believe they were in the West Bank. Fatah, I believe. I could be wrong. Do your own research. But a lot of Palestinians didn't feel like they were just being too tolerant of the oppression. They weren't representing them.
Yeah, and it wasn't getting anywhere.
Yeah, they weren't. Yeah. And again, violence, it's privileged to say violence is not the answer when you grew up around nothing but violence. So, like, violence isn't always shooting and killing people. Violence is starving people. Violence is providing dirty water to people.
Or providing none
violence is depriving people of human rights. In my eyes, it is, at least. Maybe you don't believe so. So
the argument to that would be that why can't Palestinian people, provide that for themselves and take care of themselves?
How?
But I think that
I'm talking about Gaza. I'm not talking about the West Bank.
I'm talking about in general. I think that those specific areas of Palestine, the Israeli government has kind of made them dependent on them.
Especially in Gaza.
That's what I'm saying.
Also, not to mention, if you are in the West Bank, the amount of checkpoints you have to get through if you work in Israel. Like, you don't just get to dance your way across the border. The experience of being an Arab in Israel is not the same experience as being a Jewish Israeli person. It's just not. So you can't expect them to act like it is.
Yeah.
It sucks because it's like when you can't justify people's actions. You can't invalidate people's experience and then also justify their actions at the same time, apparently. It's like, well, I don't know. I'm not living in this situation. I don't know how I would feel. I don't know how I would react.
Over 250 Palestinians are dead after this just 11 days. 13 Israelis are dead. This is just one of so many escalations over the last few years, and it's only a matter of time before the next one.
Okay.
What is any of this really achieving?
The one who started this war, not Hamas or not the Palestinians, but the Israeli occupation, And
But you guys fired the first rockets.
who said that? We warned them. We told them not to and storm our holy land. We're talking about a holy site for Muslims. It doesn't mean that the first rocket was launched from Gaza mean that we started the war. The first aggression is the occupation. They stormed our home. So it will keep going unless the Israelis stop their occupying for our lands.
These men saw the occupation of their land and the raid of Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque by Israeli police as justification for what came next. But
Sorry, that's literally a mosque. Like, why are you like?
So,
I don't.
So
get
essentially,
it.
they're saying that the first move of all of this was the forceful occupation of the land that they
displacing people and pretty much.
So that's So that okay. Got it.
Years ago.
Yeah.
And no progress since.
Israelis see Hamas's unsparing use of rockets as a direct threat to their national security. We met the man in charge of the Israeli Air Force, which ran their side of the battle from the skies. This is the first time that Major General Amakin Norkin has spoken with international media.
Damn.
Distance between.
I'm surprised she's able to talk with these people. It's pretty insane.
I'm sure approach has something to do with it.
Yeah.
It's also Vice. It's not like it's
Yeah, from
like
what
a
I've seen, Vice
huge-
is actually pretty neutral and everything.
No, I know, that's what I'm saying. They're not. They're just gathering info. They're not trying to like.
Which is what we think
Present
it
a
should
bias.
be. You should be able to hear both sides. Yeah.
Beersheba to Gaza, it's 40 kilometers.
So the nearest base to Gaza is 40 kilometers?
Yes, in a minute you can see the border of Gaza Strip. This is Gaza. It's 5 minutes flight, F-16.
Wow.
So it's very thin. Now you can see better Tel Aviv over there.
Oh, Tel Aviv is here. I see.
And Jerusalem is over there. Okay, so everything is very, very close. And hundreds of thousands of citizens living under threat. 24/7 threat.
How many times over the 11 days of conflict did you fly towards Gaza?
Oh, thousands.
Thousands.
Yes.
We recognize by our intelligence and our UAV a rocket launcher. Those rockets supposed to launch to the Israeli cities.
Is there a rocket launcher here?
Yes, there is a rocket launcher. You can see it in a minute, but they said here in Hebrew, there is people walking on the street near the rocket launchers. So you cannot attack. You cannot attack. There is no other military, there is no other air force all around the world that use such a methods like I present to you by calling the enemy and ask them, please get out from your house because your house is a target.
Sometimes. Sometimes that happens.
No.
Not all the time.
When we know that there is people at the house which are not terrorists, we did it. And we did it thousands of times, not once or two, thousands of times.
What's the point of launching it in general? Like, is it just a symbol of, hey,
It's
we can
because they're
attack?
saying that there's a threat that they see rocket launchers that they're going to use on them. So they need to try to destroy that weaponry.
The video footage he just showed was in Gaza, no? And
Yeah,
he's
but he
saying
said
that the
that
civilians they
there
can
was a rocket launcher there, and they tried to warn the civilians to get out of there before they hit those areas. That's what he's saying. That they tried to warn them thousands of times before they do the strike to get out of that area.
Because they see a rocket launcher in the area? I don't get it.
Yeah, I guess that their planes are able to spot weaponry, like they can pick up on it.
So they're trying to
Destroy the weaponry so they
That's
can't
it.
use it against them. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Hamas obviously fired over 4,000 rockets, and your military was thankfully able to intercept most of them. You have
Iron Dome.
fighter jets, you have air-to-air missiles, you have air-to-land missiles, you have drones yourself. The Israeli Defense Forces have killed 20 times the number of Israelis who have been killed. How is it proportionate or justifiable to be using this machinery in a very densely civilian populated area?
Well, this is not the way that I would like describe the situation.
But that is the situation.
No,
I mean,
the
20 times the
situation
number of people
is-
that you've killed
The
versus the
situation
number of
is
Israelis that have died.
We don't want to act, we react. because we cannot accept the Hamas or the Islamic Jihad is launching rockets toward Jerusalem or toward any other city.
But I mean, the problem is that both sides say that they're defending themselves. And so you have to recognize that there is obviously a power imbalance. And as the stronger side, do you accept responsibility for the disproportionate number of civilians
Should I
that have
apologize
died?
because I'm stronger? No.
You don't need to apologize because you're stronger. You need to not take advantage of the fact that you're stronger. You, as a higher power source, have the ability to let this play out the way you want it to. And it's always going to play out the way you want it to.
Yeah, it's just hard to think that it's hard to think that like they don't kind of in the back of their heads want to get rid of as many Arabic
I think they
people
just
in
use
the
this as
area.
an excuse to slowly exterminate Arabs. Like you can't make me unbelieve that in the grand
Isabel,
scheme.
it's important for me. I am not attacking citizens. They launch rocket toward the center of the cities. They want, and they declare, they want to kill Israeli citizens.
Under international humanitarian law, warring parties can only target military objectives and must take all precautions to minimize harm to civilians, something both sides stress they do. But that's not true.
I mean, both sides don't.
The night that Hassan's daughter and grandchildren died, Hamas authorities claimed that multiple guided bomb missiles dropped by the Israelis were responsible for their deaths.
But I thought you can see if there were civilians there before you do that.
They said they warned them, so that probably goes as far as like we warned them. So if they got out, they got out. If not, they didn't.
That's BS. Though it's the same way you warn over 1 million people to migrate somewhere in 24 hours, knowing that is literally impossible, and then destroy the path to get there and target ambulances. And now that I'm even more aware that they can target where they're gonna hit, it's actually, to me, even more brutal, because it shows that these things, when you're targeting hospitals and ambulances, schools, and then you have the right to criticize Hamas for not building schools and X, Y, fucking Z. Like, you're actively destroying their land constantly. I would not fucking build anything there.
Well,
if I knew it was going to get destroyed anyway.
I want the journalist to ask the Israeli force. I want her to say, like, a lot of the issue that Hamas says is because of the forced occupation from Israel. I want them to ask their opinion on that. I want to see what their opinion is on that.
I hear you.
Yeah.
That is a good point.
We were unable to corroborate the exact weaponry used, but the size of the craters, along with remnants discovered at the site, appeared to match this description. Hassan, his neighbours, and some of the 32 survivors we were able to speak with independently said the IDF did not call anyone in the building to warn them of the attack. If they had, they said, they would have evacuated. After initially denying that they had struck this location, the IDF later sent a statement to Vice News. They claimed they did not target the building where the Al-Atta family lived, but rather a terror tunnel placed in close proximity to the building. These underground networks, they say, are built in and beneath densely populated civilian areas, which puts lives at risk. The IDF did not elaborate on why it was necessary to destroy the residential building if it wasn't the intended target. They said the reason they did not call or evacuate civilians was because the building itself...
So because you made a mistake, it's fine. But when they do that, it's a terrorist attack. That just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but
this is terrorism, but it's legal. And that's the only difference. Period. Like, I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, that's fine. I forgot what I was going to say.
I'm so sorry.
Wasn't what they were aiming for.
I can't make it. I can't rationalize it.
الله يرحمه الله يرحمه يحسب لي وانا اللي لحدتهم يعني انا اللي دفنتهم كلهم بايدي انا اللي دفنتهم انا اللي لحدت ضيع البهجه ضيع الفرحه على ناس كثير مش علينا احنا لحالنا الله يكون بعون كل انسان على حمله لان الامر العقل ما بيستوعبوش يعني أنا بنت وولادي إيش ذنبهم؟
إن شاء الله. كل واحد يكون على فصيله. Story! 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 Story!
So we're inside Hamas training base right now. This is where they have their annual summer camps. There's hundreds and hundreds of kids here. But apparently this year, the number of young kids who have signed up and are wanting to join Hamas has exploded because of the recent conflict.
These people have literally nothing to lose. They don't wake up and decide to be violent for no reason. I'm sorry. Like, they have nothing to lose. Nothing to lose.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is they just want to keep the land that they were on. I mean, literally, I think that's it.
More than anything, they don't want to be occupied.
That's what I'm saying. I think they just want to be left alone with being able to move freely. And
I don't think this will ever be peaceful and, like, even in, like, tolerable for both sides unless Israel is ruled by somebody that isn't
apparently
psychotic.
I didn't know that. I forget how long ago. I think like in the, I don't know if it was 70s or 90s or something. There was a leader of Israel who actually was trying to peacefully make them coexist, and he got assassinated by Israeli people.
Yeah, because unfortunately, like,
but
from birth, you're kind of taught to fear.
Yeah, and I think they looked at him like a traitor for wanting to make peace with these people.
And nothing's ever going to be perfect. There's always going to be extremists. There's always going to be people that, like, they're over fucking doing it, okay?
Yeah.
And truly don't want peace and truly want blood on blood. I'm sorry, it sucks, but that's just how it is. But you can't, like, there's just no excuse. None of this shit's justified, period.
It is just crazy to me, though, that, like, the reaction was, I shouldn't apologize for being stronger when 20 times the amount of of people have died than on your side.
Right. Like, if a parent beats their child, is it the kid's fault? Like, because, you're not going to be like, well, my bad. Sorry, the kid is fucking small. Yeah. Like, look at the way they're training. I promise you the IDF is not training like this.
Some of these kids are as young as 15. They come here to get fitness training, military training.
الهدف من هذا التمرين تعليم الطلاب التسديد على الأهداف وربطهم بقضيتنا الوطنية اللي احنا بندافع عنها.
And in this simulation that was specifically designed for these trainees, who are you targeting? Who's the enemy?
احنا عدونا واحد، هو العدو الصهيوني الإسرائيلي اللي اغتصب أرضنا، واحنا مقاومتنا جاءت من انطلاق من حق يعني أصلي، ونحن نمارس يعني حقا هو يعني أصليا لنا.
What would you say to people who, would say that you are brainwashing young children and you're training them to fight for the benefit of Hamas?
احنا يعني لا نغصب الطلاب ولا نجبرهم على التسجيل في هذه المخيمات. هذا الجيل فتح عينيه على الدنيا، على صوت القصف والدمار ومشاهد الترويع اللي بيتعرض لها المواطنين عندنا في غزة.
And do you think it's these kinds of experiences that motivate these young people to come to training camps like this?
أكيد.
Damn.
It's sad when you feel like you almost have no choice but to wait
to
die.
I mean, to me, there's always going to be people who say, like, they just hate Jewish people and that's all they want to do is just because they just want to kill them. But I think a lot of people don't look at the context that I think before World War II and before they moved over in huge amounts to this land, I think there were more Muslim people than Jewish people there.
Okay.
But I'm not saying it's like
a competition.
No, I'm just saying, like, I do think that there was probably a majority of Arabic and Muslim people in that land.
Of course, it's surrounded by Arabic countries.
So then, if someone comes into your home and tells you to get out, you're not gonna feel happy about it. I mean, it's just the reality of it.
I don't think a lot of people like living in Israel, growing up there, I don't believe that a lot of them feel that way. I definitely feel like they are taught we were here first, we just came back, blah, 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 whatever.
Well, they tie the name of it, I think, to
I
them.
truly feel...
Like, they tie the name of Israel to them.
Yeah, I know. I feel like history is important, but at the end of the day, whoever was there first, it's just... I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but both sides have roots there to some degree, okay? And I'm talking about Jewish people. I'm not talking about Israeli in general. Jewish people have always had roots there. Muslim people have always had roots there, okay? Arabs have always had roots there, like, period. It doesn't matter what you feel. They have always had roots there, period, okay? And so have Jewish. So you can't sit here and play like oppression Olympics over, well, we're more deserving and we went through this, so we deserve this, and we went through this. They're both entitled to this land. In my opinion, there needs to be a way to work it out. Yes, peaceful is such a fucking strong word, 'cause it's never going to be peaceful. There's too much conditioning.
I would say, I think if it was approached differently after World War II, especially with the backing of the UN and the Western countries.
The UN threw up their hands after they, after
I know, they kind of said, like, let them deal with it.
Pretty much. But that's what it seems like, at least.
I will say, I think it could have, if it was approached differently in a more peaceful way, I'm sure... Because I saw actually old footage of Palestinian people welcoming Jewish people to that land after being, pretty much a genocide in the Holocaust. And they were welcoming them like,
it wasn't
we can live together.
There was a huge Zionist movement where...
I think then if they...
And being a Zionist does not mean you just feel... I've noticed a lot of people who, especially the younger generations of Jewish... Israeli Jews, a lot of them I've noticed, again, this is definitely, I've seen more younger, they think like Zionism is just that we deserve to have a space of our own, and it's like, no, it's just not that simple. You want it at the expense of others, okay? It's a lot more evil and
because you have
and sorry, I will say, I feel like it is cynical the way like the Zionist lobby has weaponized Judaism as like their way of ethnic cleansing, honestly, and displacing people. And a statement like that, there's going to be people that are going to align that with anti-Semitism, and that could not be farther from the fucking truth, because it's just it's just not fucking true. I'm sorry. There's an agenda, a political agenda, and then there's a faith in a religion, and those two do not intertwine with each other.
Yeah.
And with that being said, again, I will repeat myself: Jewish people, Muslim people, Christians, they're all allowed to be on that land. Period. That's what that land was there for.
It's just no one should be forcefully pushed out just because they have the backing of a stronger country or like a stronger ally. Like, that shouldn't give the right to push people out of where they were living.
I agree, and it's
it's exactly what happened here in the U.S. Like, I have family that have Native American descent here in the U.S., and I'm sure they also got pushed out of their places and got tricked into thinking that they were, getting a good deal or doing something, and then pretty much just got thrown to the side.
Yeah, all these like peace deals and things like that, they are very one-sided.
If you actually look into them, they're not. Yeah. They don't really benefit.
Labeling it a peace deal when you are favoring one side.
It's not really a peace deal.
It's not a peace deal, and I wouldn't accept it either.
I think we should wrap.
Sorry, long video. I know we aren't professionals on this topic. This is just what we're
mainly giving our opinions, and because after doing our own research from looking at both sides, I've
always known about...
I haven't.
I've always known about the occupation happening ever since I was like a teenager, at least.
Because she has friends that are...
Some of my closest friends in high school and still today are Palestinian. So I do, like, by circumstance. It's something that I've been aware of, but I truly have learned so much in this past week, like actually digging and reading and looking for like resources that are
neutral,
just genuinely want the truth out there, and it's not
biased.
It's not just propaganda.
Yeah.
But I did learn a lot when it came to like the West Bank and how restricted Gaza is and the people there. Like that, I did not know to the degree. Sorry again for rambling. Again, we are not professionals on this. Make your own opinion, but check your privilege, check your bias, and make sure that you aren't speaking out of your fucking ass, and that you show empathy for people who are fearing of their lives, like, and losing their lives, and who have lost family members, because no one deserves that, period, in any circumstance.
Yeah, no matter where you're from.
And we will leave some resources below. If there's anything that isn't hateful that you would like to add, go for it. But we don't tolerate racism in the comments. That's all I'm going to say.
Cool.
And you have anything else to add?
No.
Sorry, this was a heavier topic, but I truly think this is so important, because this is like a
it's
huge
happening
moment.
right now, and it is a global thing.
Yeah, though, like it's a full-on fucking war now. Okay. Anyway.
All right. Like and subscribe, guys. Jump over to the vlog channel.
Please go do some research, and like, we have no excuse to not care. We really don't.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Love you guys. Have a good day.